All right, folks, we're back, and I'm your host, BKP. And joining us on the line right now is the 9th Congressional District Republican Congressman Doug Collins, also House Judiciary Ranking Member. Congressman, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well, Ron. Hope everybody is.
Everybody is. We're doing well, and we're always glad to have you on the show. And obviously, there's never a lack of questions when you come on.
That's for sure.
Right? There's never a time when we don't have anything happening. Let's start right out of the box this morning with the letter that the House Judiciary Committee. It's a bipartisan letter with the chairman Gerard Nadler and yourself as the ranking member to you, Hurwitz, the acting director of the Bureau of Prisons, concerning Jeffrey Epstein's suicide at MCC. Tell us a little bit about this letter, what House Judiciary can find out, and why you guys are so interested in this right here.
Well, let's just start off this. This is one of the more high-profile cases that we've had in this country in a long time. I mean, this is not somebody that that people haven't heard of. This Epstein's name was on every news for the last 2 months. The pleas he were giving, the court cases, the lurid details that were coming out of his sexual exploitations of minors and the things that were happening there. So what concerns myself and the chairman is, how did someone who at once was on a suicide watch list, was he taken off of that? Why was he left alone in his cell? Why are we now finding out? And I saw even breaking stories this morning of officers sleeping through bed checks. They're falsifying records. Again, what I want to have happen, I said this on another interview, and I want to make it clear here. I believe in facts. Facts always will lead you to the truth. And I think what we have to do is, what I want to make sure is, and the chairman and I both, let's get the facts on this. And if people did wrong, they need to be punished. But what I don't want to have here is this haze and cloud of the what ifs, or we're not sure, or you're not telling us, and then every conspiracy theory in the world gets thrown out there. And that's when we just really need to take a step back, say, what are the facts, punish those in process. And really, from a fact now, too, I also feel bad because the victims were denied their right in court for someone who abused them, allegedly abused them. And I think this was what we need to focus on here is this should have never happened with such a high profile. I mean, think about this. This is like Al Capone being put in and left alone to escape or commit suicide. I mean, that's just the kind of thing we're looking at.
Well, Congressman, you touched on several things, and I agree with you 100%. I mean, the conspiracy theories and the internet is going wild. We had a document dump last Friday, okay, is what I call it, a Friday document dump, and some high-profile names like Bill Richardson and George Mitchell and Prince Andrew there. We had some high-profile names start coming out, and then Saturday morning, and I know some circumstantial things that look like they're in line, and then Saturday we find out this guy is left alone and he commits suicide. Now, you guys are asking a lot of questions. You're asking the question, and I particularly, you have 23 in this letter. Number 10, you deal with asking, we're wondering this out here, might I say, suicide watch. I mean, how does this guy go from suicide watch? What did he tell the people, the psychologists, to get off suicide watch? I mean, there's so many confusing things here that just do not add up, and that's all I can say.
Well, you're very right, and remember, and I do want to make this very clear. The documents that came out through the court records the other day. Let's also be very fair as well, as we are in this country. Anybody named in those documents are not automatically guilty.
Agreed.
And I think that's something that, because it could have had your name in there, it could have had my name in there.
Absolutely.
So I think we need, and so this is again why I believe the Bureau of Prisons seemingly mishandled this so bad, because now we're not going to have those answers. Those days in court are gone. So for all of these stuff that may or may not be true, that may or may not have happened, are now just going to be left hanging because of really what it appears to be, frankly, at least on the surface, appears to be incompetence in the Bureau of Prisons handling a very, very high-profile prisoner. I'm going to take this to a step further. If we mishandle this prisoner, then I have a question for some of our Bureau of Prisons. How are we handling some of our high-profile terrorism people? How are we handling some of the ISIS and the jihadists that we have here in our max securities and other prisons? How this just highlights a very much of a concern for me. That's why this letter is in depth. That's why this letter asks specific questions. They're more depositional style than anything else, because we want to get the answers on how this could have happened here in a facility in New York City.
It's interesting you say that, because I thought the other day if I said on the show, people would think I was serious, but I'm hoping people are keeping an eye on El Chapo.
Yeah, well, it is.
I was like, I don't want to bring that up, but I mean, wow, Jeffrey Epstein is not being watched here. How about these other people that we think are being monitored in prisons? And this is a federal facility.
Oh, very much so. Well, and I think the one other thing I want to bring out here as well, again, for someone who's been under a lot of stress, a lot of suicide watch once, when you had that happen on Friday, I mean, this is almost like, for those of us who, have been counseling, and I've done counseling, as you well know, for years, anniversaries of dates, new events and dates. You always check in with that person, and for this to have come out on Friday, another very damning day on Friday of alleged things and depositions and others. Why was in my mind, you would have upped the watch on him for the next 24 to 48 hours, because, this was not Friday was not a good day if you were him and looking at the world falling in around you. So again, my hope is, and that's why we were very specific in this, it's not a political document that we sent. We simply said, let's get the answers here. And, like I said, it's what I've heard coming out this morning of people falsifying records, sleeping through bed checks. Then these people need to be fired and prosecuted. Well, and I think that's what we need to look at.
You are going into, and I appreciate it, Congressman, you're going into a lot of areas of questions. When I say out here, I think you understand, we are asking ourselves as we're watching this that seem to be common sense. And it's just like you said, if and I will agree with you here. Anybody's name could be in these documents, and there's a process we still have in this country. So allegedly some names come out, but this is some very damning information that's coming out with this individual. So who dropped the ball? And it's very simple to say. It didn't go over and say, hey, these documents are coming out. We need to up the concentration here on Jeffrey Epstein tonight. It might be a bad night. So you hit that 100%, and who dropped all of these balls saying, this guy's on suicide watch 3 weeks ago. Now there's, an intense reason to keeping an eye on this guy. So I mean,
it is, and I think these are the questions. Hopefully, in a short order. I do know that the Attorney General Bill Barr is looking at this. I think he was as appalled as the rest of us were. And I trust him to begin this investigation. Horowitz, the same IG that we're waiting for other things, is going to be the same IG that actually gets into this issue as well. I think the Bureau of Prisons has their own as well, but we're going to be getting into this further. But I think it brings up a bigger picture here, and this is I think it gave us an opportunity, an unfortunate opportunity. But let's also remind people, and I think you did a good job of this a few moments ago. We're a country based on the fact that you're innocent till proven guilty. And we've seen this on Capitol Hill all year, especially whether it be dealing with the president or dealing with others. They presume guilt before they understand our concept of innocence. I think this is the whole concept that we're dealing with here. And I think this suicide and the issues around it have deprived us of having the ability to have a court proceeding, to have a proper proceeding in which our country, which shines in the world, is saying, we believe you are innocent until you're proven guilty. And what we need to do is cut the conspiracies out, find out if there happens to be a conspiracy, we'll unravel that too. But it's going to come through truth and fact, not through, a wild night on the internet looking at theories on who was there and who was not.
All right, well, let me just ask you one or two more things, because we have something else we want to get to before we have to run. I know you have a busy schedule. But the Attorney General, in this letter, you quote the Attorney General, Mr. Epstein's death, that's William Barr, raises serious questions that must be answered. So have you been in contact, or have you had any discussions within the Department of Justice with the Attorney General? Have you been in the loop on any conversations there and what's going on? Because I understand the MCC, there's an inspection being done today and going through there today. So have you been involved in any of that yourself?
No, that's an internal DOJ process, and we're letting that happen. I've been in touch with Bill Barr on other issues. I mean, he came out very quickly and said that, took steps to, which is refreshing in an attorney general to actually do his job. And so we've not had conversations on this. We've had, there's been other conversations I've had in the last few weeks with Bill Barr, but this one, we're giving our input on questions we'd like to see answered. He's already taken a very strong step forward to say, here's what we're going to do internally. And knowing him, getting to know him like I have over the last 6 months, he was not a happy attorney general in the last few days, and some of our conversations between our offices has shown that he is wanting to get to the bottom of this. Well,
he is one that I think, and I don't want to make a judgment. He is one that has some facial expressions. So no, the last couple press conferences and the times he's addressed the press, he did not look happy. So I don't want to draw that conclusion whether on his happiness, but he didn't look happy.
No, I agree with you that. I know his daughters as well, and I think his daughters would agree with that expression too.
All right, one more thing on this. Hugh Hurwitz is the acting director. He's not been confirmed, but he's the acting director of the Bureau of Prisons. Is this letter also more on reviewing actually our federal prison systems, period? Is this a look into, wait a minute, maybe we need to take a solid look into our federal prison systems? Is there something in this also that you have to look at it, the way prisons are being run and guards and sleeping on the job and all these things? Is this also something you're trying to get to the bottom of also with this letter?
I think this is the first step in taking a specific situation, and then you can extrapolate from there other instances on how this is being played out in other facilities. Again, we're facilitating with one MCC facility in New York. Is this actually happening overall? I think this would be a good time for maybe a stand down where you go look at your quality control measures, your other issues that you're having in these other facilities to make sure that it's good every time to look at your policies and procedures. What I've been very frustrated by, and this highlights for me, I chose to be restrained at this point, but it also goes to the fact that I've been asking my chairman for a oversight hearing with the Bureau of Prisons for the First Step Act and for other issues for the Bureau of Prisons. And I've been asking for this for 8 months, and my chairman will not bring the hearing up. And that's been very frustrating for me. So now we have a tragic event that is highlighted and caused us to have to focus on a specific event when actually, we have been asking for some of this kind of oversight like you've asked for, or your question implied, for the last 8 months. And, maybe now we can. I mean, sometimes it takes a unfortunate event to have that happen, so maybe we can have it now.
All right, well, let's wrap up here. We got a couple minutes left, and I just want to say this. Not everything's Washington, D.C., so let's bring it home to the 9th District. You've been visiting. I've been watching on the internet. You've been visiting many places, saying hello to a lot of people in the 9th District. What are you hearing as you travel around, and what are some of the things that are happening in our district here that you want to highlight that is outside of the Potomac?
I think the good part about the district is the district's doing well. One of the things I'm hearing, because so many times we talk about problems, and I want to say this, in traveling around, we're seeing jobs. I think we're seeing new businesses open up. We're talking to communities who are coming together. I was just over in Forsyth County a couple of days ago, and we're in the 400 corridor right there. The tech corridor of 400 has been amazing, and I was able to sit with some businesses over there that are doing, blockchain, AI, or artificial intelligence. We're looking at robotics. We're looking at things that are really pushing the envelope, and these are coming out of Georgia and in the 9th District. You look on up into our others. Our ag sector is doing well. We're finding new and amazing ways for our agritourism. You're seeing that. You'll just in just about 4 or 5 weeks, you're going to have your part of the world busting in apples and people coming all over the place, and the new businesses that happen. So I think I want to just start positive. The positive is that we're seeing. In our district, we're seeing the results of the president's leadership. We're seeing the results of the tax reform package. We're seeing the results of deregulation that are helping our folks get what they need. Now, are we still fighting? You better believe we are. We're still dealing with the Corps of Engineers and their very ham-handed way that they've handled dealing with fee increases on the core lakes and for dock permits and other things. We're dealing with broadband, and I still have a company that's completely incompetent in Windstream that is still having issues trying to serve our rural broadband needs. And that's why we put in bills that have said that they have to give a verified speed. They can't just, hide the speeds that they're using. They have to use a verified speed for what they're actually offering to customers. We're still looking at using Connect America funds to make sure that their monies are being used to expand broadband and not just simply do competition with their other competitors. So those are the things that we're working on. But frankly, we're seeing also, my last point is we're seeing a constituency concern about the rise of this, government control versus non-government control. You can call it, capitalism versus socialism. You call it whatever you want. But they're really concerned as the Democratic presidential nomination process is moving forward. This idea that everything is free or could be collective, it is resonating with some of our folks to say this is not the country that we want to see going in that direction. So they're concerned. They saw the results of Obamacare. They saw the results of what happens when this could get into power. So that's what we're seeing right now, Brian.
Well, we got to go. I know you have other things on the calendar, so I don't want to, I know you got other interviews to get to and things to do today. I want to get you back real soon, Congressman, and talk a little more direct on politics and congressional House seats across the country, and maybe some Republican strategy on how to win back the House. So maybe that's something I can get in touch with the office and we can get you back on and maybe focus on something like that real soon. Because I do know you spend time in your district, not to say that, but you do spend time helping Republicans get elected across this country. And I know you work hard at doing that. So I'd like to get you back real soon on that subject alone.
Would love to, Brian. Y'all have a great day.
You too, Congressman. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, Congressman Doug Collins, 9th Congressional District. Congressman Doug Collins. He does do a lot of work helping other Republicans across the country get elected, reelected, try to be, take back the House. So he always has worked hard on helping his Republican colleagues get elected. We want to get him back on real soon to talk about that. And also, we always want to give the congressman an opportunity to talk about the 9th District and some things going on that he hears right here at home. And he brings up a lot of questions, and I think he's on the same page and asking some of the same questions that you and I are asking about, hey, how do you do a document dump on Friday? I call it that. And not call over to the prison, hey, you might want to keep an extra eye on Jeffrey this afternoon. All right, I'm your host, BKP. We're going to take a brief break, and when we come back, we're going to get into the other subjects that we discussed earlier in the show. Josh, take us a break.